For all things Halloween, this is hauntformer, and today, as the event gets closer, the haunt is less than a week away. It's insane. It's crazy how fast this always comes up. But today, we are going to be assembling the costumes for the event and doing some final lighting setup tests. And I also need to build the scuba diver prop. So we got a couple of things to do. Let's jump into it.
Because a lot of the actors have varying schedules and I wanted to make the volunteer system as flexible as possible, there will be, at times, different actors on different nights and different amounts of actors on different nights, with the only through-line consistency being myself. So that being said, I wanted to have enough variety of costumes to mix it up on any given night. That being said, I needed to make the yellow raincoats for specifically myself and any other actor that might want one. For the time being, I put one of the raincoats that I painted actually on my Twilight Twitcher zombie, which you'll see in just a moment in the farm footage. I painted these yellow raincoats using a variety of colors, including black, green, and the gloss, to give it kind of this gross, wet look. I thought they turned out really cool. Secondly, because I wanted a squid type of character, and I already bought the mask, I wanted to design some tentacle-like arms that could attach to the actor's hands. Now, I must admit, I wasn't super pleased in how these turned out. However, I think in the dark and with the character all put together, this will definitely come across as a creepy type of squid monster, and I think its length is going to allow for the actor to stick their hands toward the unit and will add a fright factor to it. It was a really simple build, kind of hot glued some weird designs onto a pool noodle and just went from there with the coloring. I wanted to match the mask that I got with the same type of purple and pink colors. Finally, to begin work on the giant anglerfish monster, which is basically a rehauling of my old towering pumpkin terror costume from California Costumes, I took the hands and began to give them a new, freshened coat of paint. The old hands were pumpkin hands, so they were very orange, obviously. I wanted these to look green, very dark and slimy green. You'll notice that a lot of the colors for Port Chum are very much green and dark and wet looking, and that's entirely the idea. Because when I illuminate them with either a green or blue light, it's going to give off a real nautical feel. Finally, before I show you the footage that I actually recorded at the farm in real time, I want to show this clip of me actually traveling on the back of the hayride unit. This was a run-through test to kind of see the lighting and the space and what have you. One of the things that's really cool is the tractor that pulls the hayride unit itself has a light in the front, so you'll be able to see some of the monsters in the bright light of the tractor, which adds this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, found footage, it's not the right word, but kind of this in-the-moment scare that I think will be unique. Also, what's interesting is there are certain areas along the trail where the hayride unit can actually stop and allow for an actor to run out and scare people before it continues on. We found a good speed for the unit, and I think the speed that it was going on in the latter half of this clip will prove to be the best. The only difficulty that I found while doing this test run is that the width of the unit and the tractor is so wide that it's going to be hard to have actors jump out on either side. We're going to have to wait until there's a large enough clearing to do so, or there's actually a little step that was bolted onto the back of the unit that we can use to scare people.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, for a nighttime lights-on test of the Port Chum hayride. Now keep in mind, the video is probably going to be pretty dark on your end, but I'm going to try my best to get everything that I can in the light that I'm going to be having. Obviously, it's brighter in person. The camera doesn't quite do it justice, but we're getting there. This is going to be the bait and tackle area. Got the little creepy guy here, nautical netting, and of course, the unit itself. Now, if we start walking back here, you're gonna notice real quickly, it gets really dark. But that's cool, because dark equals creepy. That's exactly what we want. And if there are any areas where there are not scare actors or props or whatnot, it just is the anticipation of them, which makes it really cool. Right here is a new addition. This is the zombie fisherman chilling here. You can't see, but he is holding a chum bucket in his hand. And the Port Chum sign actually fell. It broke. I'm going to have to fix it, but that's where the Port Chum sign will be. As we come this way, you can see kind of all the lights out here, but on the hayride, it will be elevated up, and there's going to be other people, so they're probably not going to see down here. Hopefully, they're going to be drawn to look at the props. Right here, we have the fisherman, who actually is on, of course, with no sound. You can hear his motor, but I'm going to have a speaker out here with some creepy music. You can hear some of the nautical music up at the front, actually. He looks really creepy right here, guys. Again, apologies for the darkness, but also not apologies, because it's going to make it real creepy. And I just unplugged it with my foot. I will come back and fix that later. Luckily, I got it on video already, so you can see it. Here is the Hanging Mermaid. If you've watched the previous installments, then you've seen her. Up here is where our good friend Deathstalker is. Again, it's so dark, you probably can't see him until I turn this corner. Now you can see his teeth. How creepy is he out here? And he really fits. I added some kind of green nautical netting on him to make him fit this aesthetic. But he already was kind of perfect for a nautical haunted house. He kind of looks like a shark with kind of gills on his body. And now you're approaching the billboard, which was a late addition that I didn't have in the original plan, but it really, I think, is going to be a powerhouse scene. And you can see over here, I moved him slightly from where he was originally going to go. But we have the bog zombie. Check him out. Take a look at that, guys. And then here is the sign out here. And what's nice, too, is this area has a nice beam of light that shoots down here. So if there's any actors, they can chill in this area, in this vicinity, and they'll be seen in the light. I may have to get a few battery-operated lights or some strobe lights just because I'm not going to keep extending. It's going to get really lengthy, and it's going to be tricky to manage. But with a couple of little battery-operated lights and having them on the actors, or maybe even giving the actors some creepy muted flashlights, I really think is going to set the scene well out here. I want them to be able to see the actors. That's the primary focus of this haunted hayride, but also each of the props has its own set of lights on it. The only thing I'm worried about is when the unit crosses over a light, it may blind out the prop, and I don't want that to happen. So it'll be a trial and error type thing. We open on Thursday, and I'm really excited to see how Port Chum pans out. And now I'm going to show you the same exact thing, so you can hear those nautical bells, and you'll hear some music. But now I have a flashlight so you can actually see it. Of course, there will obviously not be a flashlight when I actually do it, but you want to be able to see. Also, we have this cool light in these trees. Here is the bound corpse. I'm gonna take a nice step. As you can see, I'm wearing my fisherman garb. Here is the hayride unit, and we are gonna head off into the night. I'm gonna put my flashlight right here so you can watch how many paces, I guess, it takes for me to get out here. There we are. We have reached the gate. Now we're gonna head up, take a look at the dead fisherman. Again, the Port Chum sign's missing, but the fisherman is there. Quite creepy. Got the green light on him. And then we have this fisherman, the rocking fisherman. Well, rocking now. So you have the chum bucket, the lantern. All very nice. I really like this scene. Very creepy, very creepy. The only thing is I'm gonna need a longer strip because that is not gonna fly when we actually run it. But you can get the idea anyway. Coming up here, have the mermaid. And you also have some crates and the chum bucket. And here's kind of the hanger for her. Catch of the week, if you will, or catch of the day at least. Here is Death Stalker, aka our sea monster, who just sprung out of the water. Gotta be careful with the wind in him because I really don't want him to flip, especially not backward. That would really suck right into the drink. There you have another of the blue nautical lights. And again, gonna count the paces, also because you can't really see much out here. It's such a wide area out here, and it's hard to get power to all these areas. So it's kind of like bright spot, dark spot, bright spot, dark spot. You get me. But still, I gotta say, even though I enjoyed doing the hayride last year for Jaden, Port Chum is definitely upping the ante. Here is the Churn Canning Company sign. And here is Bog Zombie. Let's fix that stuff on you. Check him out. Then further down here, they'll go. And more scares await, although it's very dark down there. And as I continue on the Port Chum characters, you can see here we have my zombie scuba diver. This is a mask, really great mask from Ghoulish Productions. Unfortunately, despite how cool the sculpt is, it's a tight mask, so I had to cut it down the back. But it still looks good. There's actually a placement here. You can see there's like a little slit here. This is actually for your cell phone if you wear this, and you can have eyes peering out of it. Didn't want to do all that, so I just simply put some seaweed coming out of the mask, some seaweed on the arm. Also gave him these little fishing things that maybe the hand was holding. Regardless, got this jumpsuit off of Amazon. Other than that, it's the flesh-eating zombie from Spirit Halloween, just kind of redubbed. And I love the kind of leaned over position that he's in. Truly creepy. Just chilling out here in the dark. This is not where he's going to be in the final haunt. You'll see the final videos as we get to the opening of Port Chum and Fearville at large. And this right here is the fog test that I've been messing around with here in front of Port Chum at the queue. I'd like the fog to come out over here actually, because I'm going to be hopping up here to scare people. And I think it'll just be easier to access as opposed to over there. But for the time being, I plugged in the little switch. It's not on right now, as you can see. But I used a scent called Fish Market, which I found on HalloweenEffects.com. Worked pretty good. It still has some of that kind of burnt meat smell from last year. But honestly, the combination isn't terrible, and once it's out, I think I'm going to have a pretty solid scent for this queue line.